Happy New Year, my friends, and welcome back to my channel. This is Carrie Konyha, and I'm a professional psychic reader, shamanic energy healing practitioner, and astrologer here in Sedona, Arizona at Soul Star Healing Arts Center. This first full moon of the year collectively illuminates our 2025 paths to empowerment, with the central themes of this full moon being connected to renewal, finding focus, and self-perpetuation. This first full moon of the year is happening in the sign of Cancer on January 13th at 5:26 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States. So of course, make the adjustment for your personal time zone. This full moon illuminates further clarity connected to the New Year's intentions that you had set for yourself under the energetic influence of the new moon, which happened in the sign of Capricorn on December 30th. I'll go ahead and link that video up here if you want to review that information. And before we fully dive in, please do take a moment to like the video and subscribe to support my work here in offering free transformative content here on my YouTube channel. This first full moon of the year is a part of the lunar cycle that ushered us into the new year with that new moon that happened in the sign of Capricorn on December 30th, which is also the first lunation of the season of winter. This lunar cycle is called the Earth Renewal Cycle, and the energies connected to this lunar cycle ultimately are about renewal. This is a time of going within, even just seasonally, regardless of the astrology details that are happening right now. The season of winter is a time of going within. It compels us inward. It's a time of metaphorically hibernating, turning inward, tending to our self-care, focusing on our inward personal self-development. It's a time of nesting and ultimately recalibrating, rejuvenating, revitalizing in preparation for blooming into the new year as the sun begins to warm the earth once again. The water element is most active with this full moon, and that's because the full moon is in the sign of Cancer, which is a water sign. The full moon in Cancer especially activates our emotional bodies and our intuitive bodies because the moon is the ruler of Cancer, and Cancer themes are very connected to the inward private aspect of ourselves. It is connected to our emotional well-being. It's connected to emotional healing. It also can be connected to the past and therefore is very connected to ancestral healing. This full moon is also conjoined or united with the planet Mars, which is retrograde and also just went into Cancer on January 6th. We also have a stellium of planets in the sign of Pisces, which is another water sign, joining up with the N.Node that just entered the sign of Pisces 2 days before the full moon on January 11th. So we're going to be unpacking all of this and more as we take a look at the astrological energies connected to the full moon and throughout the end of January. So maybe grab something warm to drink, cozy up with me as we take a deep dive into these energies. Full moons always serve to illuminate our awareness, especially around where there's been culminated manifestations of previous goals or intentions that we've set. It also illuminates our awareness around what we might need to express, discharge, or release from us energetically. And when the full moon is in a water sign, what we are compelled to express, discharge, release is connected to our emotional body. Ultimately, we're all collectively being guided to release, let go, purge, clear, heal, anything that has at all subdued our natural enthusiasm, motivation, inspiration, that's connected to what our bigger goals and dreams are, our bigger picture goals and dreams. Let's dive a little further into the full moon conjoined Mars. Mars is retrograde and it just went into the sign of Cancer on January 6th. Mars is masculine energy. It's connected to the driving force in our lives. Wherever your Mars is in your personal birth chart shows you what your natural way of driving yourself forward is in life. So when Mars is retrograde, the action we take is inward. And with Mars in Cancer, the inward action that we're taking is in exploring, investigating, being present with things that are connected to our emotional well-being and our emotional healing. Cancer is also connected to our ancestral lineage and the past. So this is very much a time where we can have a deep clearing and healing around those types of things as well. Mars is going to be retrograde until the end of February. And so for that reason, in regard to whatever your growth or manifestation goals are for 2025, the best way to move through this energy would be in, the inward awareness and intention setting and planning phases. Once Mars goes direct at the end of February is the best timing of the year to begin implementing action in regard to whatever your personal 2025 growth or manifestation goals are. In the meantime, there's no rush. Tap into the wisdom of really taking this time now to root, ground, center, heal, get clear on the things that you're most enthused about and motivated towards, and know that the launch time is coming. Again, that's going to be more towards the end of February. Okay, here's a really important thing. This full moon is launching us into an 18-month cycle that's very connected to tapping into our intuition and nurturing our spiritual connections with ourselves and life. And that's because of this nodal axis shift that's happening. I'm actually going to create a separate video about that. But here, let me say that the nodes of the moon, which are mathematical points in space, which have to do with how the moon's orbit around the Earth intersect with the sun on the ecliptic plane. The North Node has a collective effect on our evolution of humanity, how we are growing forward in alignment with whatever our personal soul calling is. While the South Node has to do with what we're releasing, what we're letting go of. Okay, so the collective theme that I'll say right now, with the North Node moving into Pisces, after already having been in Aries for the past year and a half. While the North Node has been in Aries, the theme has been on the axis of self versus relationship, because the South Node has been in Libra, which is on one level about relationship, especially long-term relationship. So this past year and a half collectively has been themes about self versus relationship, my individual path and how that is connected to long-term partnerships, just as a very broad stroke general idea. Now, the nodes are moving into the Pisces Virgo axis. I also want to say that both Pisces and Virgo have a lot to do with health and wellness, our physical health, our mental health, our emotional health, and our spiritual health. So with these nodes, we have an 18-month cycle that is happening during this time where the nodes are literally going to be in this axis, which I'll say more about in a moment. But it's also an 18-year cycle, because it's going to be 18 years before we come back to this point again. So one thing I'm going to suggest is that you just do a little mental review on when the nodes were lastly on this Pisces Virgo axis. The most recent time was in 2006, 2007. Before that was in 1987 to 1989. Before that was in 1969 and 1970. So if you can review, what was the basic vibes that were going on at these previous times in my life, it will give you an idea of what the energy is going to be like now. But now that you're aware of this, you can move through it more consciously. There's challenges that come with the Pisces North Node, and that is connected to the part of us that can feel lost in the midst of life. Pisces is also connected to addictions. However, we have the ability now, because you're knowing this information, to not slip into the feeling lost and directionless, not slip into addictions, which don't have to be only drug, alcohol addictions. It can be addictions to particular thought patterns, anything. But the South Node in Virgo also brings in themes that are connected to how we are of service, our health routines, our work routines, and our sense of sacred work. So we're getting an activation of these energies coming in with this particular full moon that is going to be an 18-month cycle that is connected to really using the power of our intuition to inform and guide what our deeper sense of soul work is. Ultimately is the theme there. Because there's this huge emphasis on intuition, I'm offering a new program this year that is connected to my self-paced, on-demand Mastering Intuition course, which you can start anytime. But at the end of February, once Mars goes direct, I'm going to be offering a Mastering Intuition coaching and mentoring program that's going to be offered live with me through Zoom. And those lives are going to be recorded and available for playback for people who can't make it. I'm giving you the early heads up now. I do have the information for my online Mastering Intuition course in the link in the description box below. So you might want to go ahead and check that out. Check out the curriculum, maybe go ahead and start the course. And by the time we get to the end of next month, I'll be offering those live Zooms. Anyway, let's go ahead and get back to the details of what's going on astrologically now. Both the moon and Mars conjoined in that conjunction are in a dynamic polarity or opposition with Pluto, which is in the sign of Aquarius now. Pluto is the planet of transformation, alchemy, ultimately leading to empowerment. So what's the type of transformation that we can cash in on right now with this alignment? Emotional healing, spiritual reconnection, connecting with our intuition. Also with this full moon, for those of us who are empaths, you're really gonna be feeling more than likely extra tapped in empathically. So it's even more important to learn energy management techniques for the sake of being able to stay tapped in to your own empowerment. I do have videos on this channel that are connected to that here on my Empath's Empowerment Journey playlist, which I will also link up here or in the description box below to check out. Okay, an extra intense factor is that both the moon and Mars are out of bounds. When a planet goes out of bounds, it means that it's orbiting north or south of its usual range of how it orbits on the ecliptic plane. When a planet is out of bounds, it intensifies the energies that are connected to those planets. So the moon, of course, is not a planet. It's considered a luminary in astrology, but it's very connected to our inner private self. In shamanic astrology, it's connected to your soul lineage. It's our sensing, feeling body, our emotional body, and our intuition, all the things that I've talked about. So when the moon and Mars, which I've already talked about the details of the energy significances of that, are out of bounds, it makes us even more fiercely dedicated to channeling our energy in the direction of whatever emotional healing we need to do so that we can really fully, in an empowered way, embody the energies that are a match to, we can say, your highest timeline, the version of reality that you want to shift into. Now I'm skipping ahead, but Mercury is also out of bounds in the sign of Capricorn. It just went into the sign of Capricorn on January 8th, and we're going to talk about some of the aspects that are connected to that in a minute here. But when Mercury is out of bounds, it gives us an extra oomph, an extra spice to really speak our truth. So one thing that we have to be aware of is thinking before we speak. We don't want to necessarily be so impulsive with the things that we say that we can unintentionally say things in ways that are hurtful or judgmental or come across the wrong way. On the full moon chart, Mars is trining the north node of the moon, which again just went into Pisces. With Mars in Cancer retrograde, trining the north node of the moon in Pisces, this again brings us into more of a deep awareness regarding our current emotional state of being, awareness of where we need to heal, and we use the power of our intuition to guide us. I know that I've already said that, but this theme is showing up in many different ways with this full moon chart. And this is the energy that we're moving into the new year with. And again, with the North Node in Pisces for the next 18 months, intuition is your best friend during this time. If you are a person who has it on your radar to develop your intuition this year as a part of your growth goals, I definitely recommend checking out my Mastering Intuition course. It's super dialed in. I've been teaching it since about 1994 or 96. Many of my students have gone on to become professional psychics themselves. Even if you don't have an ambition to become a professional psychic or using intuition as a part of your healing or wellness career, this course teaches you how to hone, strengthen, master your intuition for the sake of using it as your own navigation tool in your own life. Again, you can check out the details below. Mars is also making a trine aspect to Saturn in Pisces. Saturn in Pisces, I feel on one level, especially when we look at it through the lens of our soul growth and evolution, gives us a drive to really dedicate ourselves to our sense of spiritual path. Now, with all the stuff we have in Pisces, Pisces is also a lot about creativity. So for those of you who have ambitions, goals that are connected to creativity, now is the time to establish those seed intentions for that. We've got some other things going on throughout the year, which of course I'll be talking about as we're moving through the year, that are very conducive to successfully achieving goals that are connected to creativity. And that's connected to Jupiter, which is going to be going direct on February 4th further supporting us in achieving those manifestation goals. In fact, right now, Jupiter is squaring Saturn in Pisces, and Jupiter is retrograde. So that's like not leaping before we think. It's kind of putting the brakes on in the way of taking the time to make sure that we really have everything situated and grounded that we need in order to implement our manifestation growth goals. And this is where Mercury comes in. Mercury right now is also making a sextile aspect to Saturn. Mercury is the planet that has to do with the thinking mind. It's sharing ideas, being aware of our own ideas. It's about communication. And so Mercury making the sextile aspect to Saturn is almost like really telling us to be aware of where the direction of your thoughts are going. For those of you who really are on that path of growth, we want to have the diligence to train our mind and our thought pattern habits to be aligned with what our goals are. So many times we have growth goals, but our mind is in a worn record groove of habitual thought that is actually contrary to us manifesting what our goals are. And so this is a deeper layer of soul evolution work that we can all be individually doing right now with this collective energy. Now, of course, with everything I'm talking about here, you want to look to see where all these planets are in your actual birth chart so that you can get more specified information about how you can specifically work with the energies based on what your unique intentions are. If you don't know how to do that, reach out and book a reading with me, and we can take a look at the 2025 energies for you, how this is supporting your intentions, and how to work with the energies most consciously and favorably to support you in actualizing your desired outcomes. Pluto and the Sun are conjunct now, even though they're in different signs. The Sun is in the late degrees of Capricorn. At the time of the full moon chart, the Sun is at 24 degrees of Capricorn, and Pluto is at 28 degrees of Aquarius. The Sun represents the kind of fuel that we burn. And with the Sun in Capricorn, collectively, it's all about getting our program down, right, for the year ahead. Capricorn is very practical, it's grounded, it's pragmatic, it's responsible, it's industrious, it's administrative. So this is the time that we are all collectively feeling that pulse of energy within us, but conjoined Pluto, it's being grounded, being practical, utilizing our drive, responsibility, motivation in the direction of where we are intending to experience transformation in our life this year. And that's because Pluto is the planet of transformation, evolution, empowerment, as I spoke of earlier. That conjunction between Pluto and the Sun is trining Uranus right now. Uranus is retrograde, but it's getting ready to go direct on January 30th. Uranus is the planet of revolution, sudden changes, unexpected developments, and it's in the sign of Taurus right now, which can ultimately support our manifestation goals as it's preparing to go direct. Later in the year, it's going to be going into the sign of Gemini, which will definitely support whatever manifestation goals that you have that are connected to speaking, sharing ideas, thinking, learning, studying, communicating. And Uranus retrograde is making a sextile aspect to Mars retrograde. So again, Mars, the planet of action, Uranus, the planet of revolution, unexpected developments, the change maker. This is a time where we're gearing up to leap into change. If you align your efforts with the natural energies that are going on with the cosmic weather and the cycles of the earth right now, which are more about going inward and doing preparation work in the realm of our emotional healing, and then doing the groundwork, doing the internal work, establishing the foundations, getting everything in place, ultimately is going to mean that once the energies shift, which is going to be, really at the end of February, then things are going to feel like they're just popping into place and manifesting in a good momentum with ease. How is it that you're noticing that these energies are compelling you? How is it showing up in your life? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for tuning in with me today, guys. And once again, please do take a moment to like the video and subscribe to support the work that I'm doing here in creating free transformational content for you. All my love, blessings, namaste, and I'll see you in the next video.